Travis Rieder studies and teaches those issues at Johns Hopkins University, the author of In Pain, a biochemist's personal struggle with opioids. It's great to see you. We really appreciate this. How is it possible that as patients and their doctors are there and a family is there, you can just see the conversation? Patients clearly in pain and a doctor saying, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you any more pain medicine because if you die, as you're going to sometime in the next 24 hours, I might be charged with murder.
Well, thanks for having me on, Leland. As you say, this is a really difficult topic. And so there are actually a lot of what we think of as bioethical issues kind of tied up in this because it's happening at the end of life. And so ethical issues at the end of life are very fraught. And because fentanyl was the drug under discussion, it's tied up in this sort of fear that we have about opioids in this moment with the drug overdose crisis. So what I think is really important is a little bit of what you set up, is that everybody paying attention to this recognizes that we're all on the same page on a couple of really key points, which is first, that everybody wants doctors to prescribe responsibly at the end of life. And that doesn't mean prescribe less. It doesn't mean prescribe more. It means prescribe the right amount for the right patient. So what I really want is I want people to think about responsible prescribing rather than thinking about like more or less. And then the second thing that I think you alluded to is there's a concern about big legal cases, about policies, about medical licensing board decisions having a chilling effect on other physicians. So again, what we want is we want our physicians and nurses and other clinicians.
We all want all these things, great, but prosecutors just charge somebody with murder. And I'm wondering how every ICU physician in the country doesn't see that and say, gee, if I prescribe fentanyl to a patient who's on their last hours and somebody believes that that hastened their death, even though they were going to die anyway and die in a lot more pain without the fentanyl, I get charged with murder.
This is not a new issue. And so the case definitely makes it really upfront in the public mind. But a lot of patients, very, very many patients in the last hours of life are on heavy doses of opioid painkillers like fentanyl. And so what we're talking about here is making a really fraught decision that is made all of the time in the ICU. So yes, I share your concern that we don't want physicians making decisions based out of fear or a chilling effect.
Well, I just want to ask you, is there any way that after this case, doctors won't make those decisions out of fear?
I think there is a way. So yes, we should be cautious that physicians are making decisions responsibly and not in a knee-jerk way. But physicians have been brought before court and brought up by the medical licensing boards before. It happens all the time. This one was very high profile. The stakes were very high. But I believe in our clinicians that they can make this decision responsibly. And so now's the moment where we kind of call on them to do that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm not feeling any better after hearing it. Should doctors be allowed to end a patient's life by painless means if requested? 74% yes, 26% no. More importantly, and I think the number would have to be higher, should, a loved one in pain who's going to die, should they be given drugs to keep them comfortable, even if those drugs mean they die a few hours earlier? I can't imagine that number isn't higher.
Absolutely. And in the medical community, they make this really careful distinction that you exactly correctly just made. It is absolutely permissible to ease a patient's suffering at the end of their life, even if you foresee that it could potentially shorten their life by some amount.
I get that they make it in the medical profession. Ohio state law didn't make that distinction. That's why he was charged with 14 counts of murder. The prosecution called 53 witnesses. The defense called one who was an expert in palliative care, and he was acquitted. It almost sounded like jury nullification. Are there prosecutors out there who are sort of looking for these cases? How does this happen?
Well, I won't comment on the exact legal ramifications, but I mean, as you noted, he was acquitted. And so there was a live discussion, and the discussion was he intending the patient's deaths? or was he intending their care, maybe even with the knowledge that their death would be hastened? And those are different things.
Yeah, very, very different. All right. Hey, Travis, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Delicate topic, definitely handled. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.